again for being here and seeing so many familiar faces and some new faces. Super excited. Welcome to indeed to our new office. It's an old warehouse of the World West India company, so big history. And when we walked in the first time, we thought, okay, this is such an amazing space. We need to have our summit here, and we worked very hard to, make it feel homely and informal. And we really try to build connections today. So take the time to ask questions, and also from our staff, there's technical people and design people and management available. So here to spread as much knowledge and as possible. So I'm not sure about you, but it's been quite stressful these last weeks, months, years maybe, and sometimes it feels that we really live in this world of paradox, and it's something that I personally struggle with. But also as a company, we're seeing these paradoxes. So what are we seeing in the world? We're seeing fragmentation, borders are being built up. But when we look at the challenges that we're facing, whether it's climate change or wars or trade wars or anything that's happening, we need to think globally. So we're seeing this paradox in there. But also from a local level, people feel that they need a tribe. They want to have purpose, but somehow they're lacking this, where we don't have this social cohesion anymore that we used to have. So people are lost sometimes. And then there's technology, which can be amazing. We can see what's happening all over the world, but still also it isolates us. We're seeing this with young people during COVID that are sometimes lost. We're seeing this with elderly people that sometimes are lonely. So we're having all these capabilities, but what do we do with that? And we're getting these forces that are trying to push us into two directions. And the one force is saying, no, we need to build walls, and we're going to focus on nationalism, and we're just going to do what's in our own interest. And then there's this other force that says, no, we need to actually collaborate more, and we need to connect more. And I think that as leaders, and you're all leaders in one capacity or another here today, we need to start building these connections. And we have been doing this in the past, but for the next years, it's going to be even more important. And all of you will play a role in this. So when the forces are against us, or when you feel hopeless, there's another force as well at play. And it's going to be more important than ever. So collaboration, it's no longer something that is a nice to have. It is something that becomes crucial, and it becomes core to every mission that you have, whether you're a large organization or whether you're a small organization. And the funny thing is that we're seeing this happening as well, and I know a lot of you will talk about this as well today, how important collaboration is for their organizations. But we're seeing this shift in open social over the past years. Before, when we started, the tool was often used as a more nice to have after work hours. We're going to do some voluntary work, and over the years, this has been shifting to more mission critical work and supporting organizations in their core missions. And that means that it's not being used from 5 to 9, but used from 9 to 5 during the day a lot more. And that also means that we as an organization, we had to understand this change, and we also had to go with that flow. And it was a bit of a struggle for us to understand, why are the platforms used in this way, sometimes why are they used in that way, and how do we combine that? Well, actually the solution was right there, because we looked at our clients, and here are some examples. Many of you are here today. So we really looked, how are the platforms being used? What is the core essence of these platforms? And whether it's PIX, that's building a collaboration space, it's even in the name. IATA is around collaboration, United Nations is around collaboration. So we really saw that this word of collaboration was key for us. And that's why we relaunched at the start of this year, not just as a community platform, but as a community collaboration platform. And we're also kind of launching it more publicly today. So I'm very happy that we are at this moment. But okay, that's a name change. But what does that really mean? So we set out to focus on three main areas, and the solutions that we've been building, the products that we have launched. Moritz will tell more about that today. Bram will come after my talk to launch a product today with you here. Are all about these focus areas. They're focused on cross-organizational collaboration. And I think almost all of you here understand exactly what I mean when I say cross-organizational, because there is some sort of umbrella organization, then there is organizations that are linked to that in some sort of parent-child relationship, as we say in the technology. But that in practice means that it's very different from one company. When you have one company with, for example, employees, you can use a tool as Microsoft Teams or Google Drive when you're a startup. But when you're multi-organizational, you cannot do that because you are not in control of who actually joins the platform, who's leaving the platform. So you need a very different type of management. And also workflows are important because you don't allow 100,000, 10,000 people into a Microsoft Teams environment and say, okay, you now start working together. It doesn't work like that. So you need to make sure people are guided, are landed, are onboarded. There's workflows, there's checks and balances in it. So one of the main focus area, cross-organizational collaboration. The other one remains community engagement and productivity. So the focus used to be purely on increasing engagement, likes, comments, those kind of things, but we've added productivity. And that means we want to build something, we want to generate something in our community, because we cannot just live on like and comments if there's no content created or if there's no knowledge artifact, as we call it in our design process. So we really think about, what does your community want to build? What do you want to collaborate on? What is the knowledge? What is the compliance piece? What is the audit report? And really start thinking about, okay, this is the journey of that piece of knowledge and how is it going through your platform from ideation to conception, to collaboration, to publishing, to archiving. So we're really thinking about the entire journey of knowledge in the platform. And all the products tie into that. And last but not least, very important, is the management and governance layer. As I said before, we cannot just throw everybody into a Google Drive or a Microsoft Teams environment and say, you collaborate. We need to understand what's happening in the platform. We need to make sure that the access is restricted to certain things. This needs to be overseeable. But also from a technical perspective, we need to make sure that you're in control over your data and your information and your code. And this is becoming more and more important as the world is entering more dangerous territory, I would say. So when we've set out these three focus areas, what we've done is really look how can we increase the collaboration. So this year we launched the document collaboration suite. I'm not going to say a lot about it because we have 2 talks talking about it. And it's great because a lot of organizations are now using this and a lot more will be using it after today, I think. We also launched Gaia AI. There also will be a lot said about that. But we're really seeing this to boost productivity. Engagement Studio we launched to help engagement because we know that the potential of your communities is massive, but often a small percentage is engaged on the platform, and even a small percentage is really engaged in creating content. So there's still a massive potential to increase onboarding, to increase people that have been deactivated, that have not have been active on the platform for a while, for example. There's a massive untapped knowledge potential in all of your communities. So if we can increase that, that's a big win. And then a connection hub, because yes, we can do a lot on the platform, but we know all of your technological ecosystems are complex and getting more complex. Sometimes tens of hundreds of tools are living in the organization, and if they can work together, there is a massive potential there as well. So that's why we launched Connection Hub. Last but not least, we updated the Cloud Vision. I'll talk a little bit about that right now, and then Lumina Insights to make sure we actually have full insight in what's happening in your communities, not just basic analytics, but really in-depth knowledge. And we're very excited about this launching this today. And that together makes what we call the community collaboration platform. So it's 6 products. The core, the beating heart, is the community management system. That's the system we always use. It's Drupal based and open source, and we're extending that right now with, for example, document collaboration. That runs on the cloud platform. That sounds very simple. Platform message. Now Upson always says, don't call it hosting because we do so much more. This is true, right? When I explain to people, well, we can actually deploy with one click to Google in the US or OVH Cloud in France. It doesn't matter for us. not a lot of companies can do this. We can do this, and right now with fracturing and laws changing, this is a massive benefit. Then there's Gaia AI, Engagement Studio, Connection Hub, and Lumina Insights. All of those 4 products we launched this year, which means that we've been working really hard, and we're very happy to make the first steps, and that all of these systems are now in production in one way or another. But it also means that this will be something that we will be developing over the next years, and we need your input to understand what are the use cases for this, what is working, what is not working, how can we build out our roadmap. So very happy with the workshops tomorrow, because we really want to understand AI, right? It's such a hot topic, everybody wants it, but what is actually working for you? And are we building something that is really beneficial, increasing engagement or increasing productivity or making things safer, or what do we want to do there? So talking a bit about the cloud platform and our view on technology in general, there is this sense that we're not fully sure what's going to happen in the trade war, how this might escalate. There's lots of new legislation that is being released. And it means that for us that we want to make sure that you have the choice where to host and where to store your information and where to process your information. And that is a choice. So we will not force you saying you have to use these kind of providers in the US, but we want to be flexible. And that is what we call digital sovereignty. So digital sovereignty is a word that's becoming quite popular right now. But what does it mean for us? So it means a choice over your data. There are clients that are fine with hosting in the US right now, and that is also okay. But other clients, and I think, for example, Louise is here, she will talk about it later. They really want to make sure everything is hosted in the European Union. Data is not left in any way. And we have to guarantee that. And that is actually, something that is new. We've always been very conscious of this, but there's always been a reflex. We just use a SaaS provider, and we're looking at a number of things. But the world is changing fast, and we wanna go there as well. That also means legal exposure. So what is the risk of the U.S. government in this case having access to your data and information? If you want to make sure that that is not possible, we need to make sure that your system is completely digital sovereign in a EU setup where there's no risk of any data being extracted to the US government. That's a choice, and we want to make sure that you have that choice. And last but not least, we need to be able to show this. So what is the documentation? What are our sub-processes doing? What kind of data protection agreements do we have with them? There's going to be a lot more paperwork involved, but this is going to be very important, and compliance and auditing and your privacy officers in your organization are becoming more and more important. I think all of us know, and this is more challenging than a few years ago. And last but not least, this is a new law that came into effect 2 weeks ago, the EU Data Act, and it's a little bit of a it doesn't get so much attention. Like GDPR was massive and all the attention was there, but this actually has a big impact, and it's not really much talked about. So the EU Data Act says a few things. For example, the data control. So right now, if you work with a large vendor or a large platform, they really want to make sure you stay on that platform. And it's very difficult for us to integrate with certain parties or to send data to LinkedIn or something like this. So the Data Act says that you have a lot more control as clients over your data, but it also forces organizations to free up their systems to integrate data streams, but also to be able to move out of those clouds. And the interoperability means that if you want to switch from one platform provider to another, that should be possible. And it shouldn't be possible by just saying like, here's your database. No, there needs to be actual structures in place to make this as smooth as possible. And those standards, they don't exist yet. So the European Commission will come with a number of standards, but they have to be developed over the years. And this had to be done because the European Commission thought, okay, we're going to leave it up to the industry to do this, and it has not happened. We're actually seeing a tighter grip on clients and on contracts, which for clients means it's very difficult to move from one party to the next. And in 2027, you will have to be able to move out without any costs from one vendor to another. Which for a lot of vendors is like, oh no, we need to find ways to lock these clients in, and we want to go the opposite side and say, okay, let's take a leading role and make sure that we are a leading voice in this operability, because it will be beneficial for us if clients can move around, and it means we have to give great service and great support, and that will just make us a better company. So we're not afraid of this, and we actually want to take a step further. So you don't hear a lot of organizations talk about this, especially software vendors, because they're very scared of this rule. And we think it's fair, and it will just make us a better company. And if you are unhappy as a client, you will leave anyway. And we'd rather have incentive to work on this. So what are our promises for you in the next year and the next years? Key is this drive for engagement and productivity. There's massive untapped potential in all of the communities, getting more people in your platforms, making sure that they're better connected, they're better reached, timely notifications. It's crucial, and we keep on doing that. But also on productivity, because we'll hear from Emil later today about the theory of platform building. What does make platforms succeed, and what does platforms not succeed? And a lot of platforms unfortunately fail because they don't get the theory right. So we also need to make sure that event creation, knowledge creation, document collaboration and creation, that it's easy and that we are incentivizing people to do this. We remain committed to open source and open standards. So all of the products that you saw that were launched, they're all open source and open standards based. Period. It's super important for us. We want to be fully digital sovereign in 2026. We made huge steps there. We still have a few things to do. That doesn't mean we switch to just European vendors. It means we're going to give you a choice. If you want to use Gaia AI with OpenAI, that's fine. You want to use it with European Mistral, that's also fine. You want to have it fully digital sovereign by yourself, also fine. So we're going to give you a choice, and that means digital sovereignty. And last but not least, we want to be this lead in interoperability, create the standards for our industry that lets clients move around from one platform to the next. They're not there yet. We're very excited about doing this and being a leading voice in there, because we feel that it's part of our culture to be open and transparent. So really looking forward to that as well. And of course, everything needs to be backed up by things that are important for you and that will be more important. Security, focus on privacy, great usability, great support. That is standard that will be increased and improved. But on top of that, we want to drive these initiatives further. We cannot do this alone. We always have been really depending on working together with clients to understand their needs. It's why we are now a community collaboration platform, because our clients started using the platform in a different way than we foresaw when we started out on this journey. 8 years ago by now. So work with us, and I'm not saying like we need budget. We also need budget sometimes, but it's also input. Things around AI, what is working, what is not working, what are your concerns in your organization around data sovereignty, around everything that's happening in the world. And yeah, the fact that you all are here today is sign that you care and that you are happy to work with us. We're going to deep dive in the workshops, but over time, know that we are very eager to learn and to better over time. That's me and Bram and our product managers and your customer success managers. They're available, and really keen to build a company that's also future-proof.
Thank you so much. I think now is a Q&A. Does anyone have questions?
Thank you very much, Taco. I have a question regarding one of the indeed biggest challenges, the interoperability pact. How are you going to be a leading voice within that? Do you already have some ideas in how you are going to approach that?
Yeah, so we're engineers by study. So my engineering brain is straight away like, we have like 1,000 features in the platform. Other platforms are going to have 1,000 features too. They're not going to match. So how are we going to solve that? So I'm mainly thinking now from a technical approach. But we will have to start collaborating with our competitors. And that is for a lot of companies exciting to do. We're from the Drupal world, where everybody working in the Drupal world is a competitor and a developer at the same time. So we know this model, and we know that this model can work, but it will definitely, take a step to see each other as as partners instead of as competitors. So we will take an approach where we'll do our homework, come up with a proposal, and then we'll have to reach out to all our competitors and hopefully, maybe sit down with them and do this. That will be small organizations and the big ones like Salesforce and those kind of organizations, and start this. So I'm not. This is we have until 2027, so we still have 2 years to roll this out. But we need to start collaborating cross-organizational. So at least we have a good platform to do that.
Great. Yeah. Nice.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, look at us being early on time.
Yes. We'll run out of the schedule later. So
Yes.
yes,
Frederick
has a
sorry,
question.
Frederick. Thank you.
General and
Of course.
very general question. But how do you define collaboration? What's collaboration for you? If I see the way that a lot of people in companies are using Microsoft Suite to collaborate, often in my experience, it's a wrong way of doing it because they put a lot of comments and they work on the same document. It was called collaboration, but it's creating work slop also, like even without AI. So how do you see collaboration and effective collaboration with?
You can see Frederick is working in the industry and has lots of experience. So it's good you're here tomorrow as well. Well, so for us, it starts with what we call this journey of knowledge or a knowledge artifact, because we work with different clients and they all approach the platform in a different way. For example, IATA, it's really about audit reports. And for other people, there's no audit reports. But what we saw, and at first we thought, okay, all the platforms, they're different. How can we even unite this, and how can we even come up with workflows? But then we took a step back and we said, well, it doesn't really matter if you're making an audit report or you're working on events or you have maybe policy papers that need to be going out. We call it a knowledge artifact. And if we look at the journey from the knowledge artifact, those arcs are kind of the same, because you need to start with somebody needs to initiate this. There's some sort of initiation, ideation. You want to have usually input on that. And then it goes through different stages. And we're not going to say these are the stages of your knowledge artifact, but we're saying there are stages going from ideation, initiation, feedback, collaboration in some form. It can be comments, it can be likes, it can be real-time document collaboration. And then it goes into a publishing phase where you say, okay, now this is ready to do something. It can go to the resource library, or it can go to your website, or it can go, and then there's a consummation phase of that. So, and that is people, but it can also be AI, for example. So we're now seeing that AI is consuming that knowledge artifact, and that people are working with the AI to consume that knowledge. So, and then there's potentially a phase where the knowledge is obsolete, or it needs to be archived or something. So for us, collaboration is not one thing. It's about what are you producing in your organization, and how can we build workflows and feedback and tools to support that, and still be very flexible. And I think that is why we're seeing quite different use cases, but still the kind of flows that we're seeing are the same. So we're not going to lock you down and say this is collaboration, because you all know how your organizations collaborate, and you all have quite complex and historic organizations. Well, Louise, I think, is the newest organization here, but most of you have done this for dozens of years, and that means your processes are in place, and it's quite strict compliance and getting stricter compliance. So we need to be flexible and make sure that we understand your processes and work towards that, in the open social way, as always, open, transparent, and Hope that answers your question. If not, keep it for the workshops tomorrow. Then we're gonna improve and work it out. Yeah.
Hey, Taco.
Hi, Paul.
I just had a quick question. I was wondering how you guys approach legislative changes such as the Accessibility Act at Open Social.
Yeah, so it's hard to keep up sometimes because we are not a massive organization. So we see the AI Act and the Data Act. The new one that's coming up is called something else coming up, usability, and that's just for Europe, right? So we study this, so we have a good legal advisor that helps us. They're doing some interesting things where they're putting all their knowledge now in GPTs, so we can keep up to date and we can check. So we're using AI in order to keep up, and it helps a lot to work with the European Commission, because the European Commission they make the rules, a lot of these, and they also have to enforce them because they have to lead by example, and they often do multiple projects with multiple vendors, so they usually know what is being required. So a lot of these things we can lean on the knowledge of the Commission itself. So this is a great partner to have. Also means that they have very high standards, which is fine. If we can adhere to those, then it flows back to all our other clients, and that's why, for example, GDPR is not something you can externally certify, but we know that the Commission works with us and keeps us on our toes for full GDPR compliance. And that's why we feel confident that we are fully GDPR compliant. So, but I'm not gonna lie, it's a challenge, especially for smaller organizations. We like the data protection agreement that we have is renewed right now because of the Data Act. So one small thing of the Data Act is that you have to list the sub-processors, you have to list where they're hosting, but then you have to also list the legislation framework where they fall under. So you can have a European company that hosts in Europe, but their parent company is the US. So then still we need to. So that's another update to our data protection agreement that we're now making. So yeah, we're seeing a shift more towards compliance, and I think it's going to be more strict over the years. When we're growing a bit more, we'll have dedicated people for that. Now it's with me and Bram in our organization, which helps because we know a lot and we're interested in it. But at one point, yeah, we'll have to have more compliance officers in the company. Yeah.
And regarding accessibility in particular, did you have to make changes to your platform to, accept this kind of?
Yes, I'm not sure who can best talk about this, but you want to answer?
A brand new team for next year to address that. So really to start from ground up, because we are fixing accessibility issues here and there, left and right, but it's too much. Starting fresh with a new designer that we have in-house, new front-ender, is going to be the solution for us. It's going to be a 1-2 years project to replace everything, but that's our goal. So yes, we are investing a lot to get there.
All right, now we're on time, I'm sure.
Yes, you are.
Thank you, everybody.